The other day I was reading through the beginning of the book of Joshua. Something caught my attention when God told Joshua, "Be strong and of good courage." And that's something we all need. We all want to be strong and courageous, especially when it comes to what we believe. And then God says something interesting. A verse later in Joshua chapter 1, verse 7, he says, "Be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you." So I began to think, is there a connection to being strong in the faith, courageous to accomplish God's will, and obedience? Many times people would look to something like this and say, oh, well, that's Old Testament, that doesn't mean much today, and it's not really applicable. But you know, when you look over to the book of Ephesians, the book of Ephesians says something pretty interesting. In chapter 6, there's a connection in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. See if this sounds familiar. The Apostle Paul says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might." So once again, we have this connection to being strong and courageous in the faith. And yet, is there still a connection to obeying? Yes, there is. We find this connection over in the book of Hebrews. Most likely the same author, Paul, in chapter 5, verse 9. Notice what he says. He says, "Having been perfected, he became the author of eternal salvation to all who obey him." So there is a connection, even in the new covenant. Under the new covenant, we are shown very clearly that there is a connection between our faith, being strong and courageous, and obeying what God tells us to do. So don't ever forget, be strong, be courageous, and be sure that we're doing it in obedience to God. That's BT Daily. We'll see you next time.